So I thought I'd make a little video. I've got an MT09 2014 plate. They're susceptible to having a few issues with the cam chain tensioner. If anyone doesn't know what the cam chain tensioner is, this is it here, right hand side of the bike. As you can see, it's just a, well, it's not a standard MT09, but it's your usual MT09. So at the same time, I'm changing the oil, in case you're wondering what that is. So mine's making a bit of a rattle. It's getting louder. It's only done it on the last sort of couple of rides, but just to be safe, I've not ridden it for the last week. The part arrived the other day, so this is the new. I've gone for the manual one, the APE one. Comes with a new gasket and screws. It's just a manually adjusted one, whereas the old one on here, it's a hydraulic one. The tension works off your oil pressure. So basically the problem is if you lose oil pressure, like on the overrun when you're coming up to a roundabout or something, the chain can go slack. So that's one of the problems. So basically I'm going to change it out. I could not find a single video tutorial. There's a few posts on the FZ09 page, but I'm not a member, so I couldn't really see a lot of them. A lot of people sort of not really sure how to do it, so I just thought I'd put this together. So the first thing you got to do is whip this side casing off. So I'll whip that off, see you in a minute. Next thing, if you have a look in here, so I would imagine that normally if you've got the bike on the side stand, you wouldn't get oil coming out. So the reason I've got oil out is because I'm on a paddock stand. So oh yeah, don't forget to have a beer with you when you're doing this as well. Paddock stand is obviously going to make some oil come out, so just make sure you've got a catch cam for it. Yeah, right, so the next thing, here's your tensioning guide. There's your tensioner on the top. So the tensioner pushes on this guide and keeps tension on the chain. So what we need to do is you basically need to keep that pressure on there when we take out the old one, because we're basically making sure that it doesn't jump a tooth down here or up here. So if we keep the tension on the chain, we should be fine. Now I've seen online a lot of people are like, right, you got to line it up top dead center or bottom top dead center and all this. The problem is you're not taking the top end off. You're not doing anything really. So you could be at any point on the engine stroke. You don't actually know unless you've got a mark at the top to see, which we are not going to have if we're just lining it up at the bottom. So I don't really see the point in it. I've got tension on that chain. I'm going to keep tension on it. So I've got this just an extension bar. I've cleaned it up with like a thinners, if you like. Make sure it's grease free, nothing on it, and then just a lint free cloth just to clean it up so there's no contaminants going to get in there. And basically going to slot that in this gap here. All we're doing is making sure that when we take out this tensioner here, this does not go slack. Okay, so that's going to hold it in that position and it stops the slack coming off the chain. Back in a minute. Okay, middle bolt is out, and I got these two out now. This one here is a absolute bitch. I had to cut down. I kind of knew I had to do this anyway. I don't know where I put it. So I had to cut down an Allen key. Used a just proper basic. I just used an angle grinder on it. Cut it down nice and small to enable me to get into that last one. So I've got that. Just be aware it does pop at one point. It does give a bit of a pop. I'm pretty confident you take this out to minimise the amount of oil that comes out. This is now holding the tension on the chain, so I've still got a good bit of tension on there. It's not going to jump a tooth, that's for sure. So I'm just going to whip this one out, change the gasket, clean everything up, put the new one back on, the new tensioner on, and I'll show you how I do that in a sec. So that's the new one in. What I've done, I've literally just got these bolts to bite on there, so they're not fully screwed in, but back this one out all the way. So back the centre bit comes with a lock nut and a washer as well, so we'll put them on in a sec. But what we want to do first off, make sure you've got nice clean gasket surfaces here. So that was all cleaned off. Slip this in with this fully backed out, obviously to keep everything away from the chain tensioner at the moment, or the chain guide at the moment. I'm just gonna nip these bolts down now, and then I'll start tightening the actual tensioner, the centre one, in a sec. Right, so I've done these two up now, and now I'm just going to nip this down. I'll keep the camera rolling for this. Camera rolling like I'm in fucking 1992 or something. Some weird shot on my arm. Right, so that's just nipped up tight. We can check the tension on the chain. See, that already feels, and that's just finger tight. I can feel the tension on that, because that was still, even with this wedged here, that was still moving a little bit. So that doesn't seem to be moving like left or right at all. Let's see if we can get that nipped a little bit. Right, be back in a minute. Rather than me just filming my fucking frame, I'll be back in a sec. I didn't get around to filming the last bit last night. My mate turned up and I felt a bit weird filming my bike in my garage on my own. So here's the sort of final bit, I suppose. When I left it yesterday, I'd basically just done these 2 bolts. I'd done this by hand, put it down. I've since then locked this off so it can't move. I've stick all these bolts back in. Yours might look a little bit different. I've got the protective casings on the outside. Yeah, just do opposites on these just to make sure it goes down nice and flush. I've done 220 miles on this today. Hasn't missed a beat. I've had no rattle whatsoever, so I'm pretty happy with this. I've not even, I took my little Allen key with me, and I think it was a 17mm spanner, 18mm spanner or something. I took that with me as well, just to just in case it needed some adjustment whilst I was out, but it was absolutely fine, no problems at all. The only issue I've had today is I overfilled my coolant a little bit, which is what all these watermarks are down the side, but it's no dramas. A couple of sort of warnings, if you like, when you do this job. You are dealing with the cam chain, the timing of your engine. I've got to say this, if you're not confident, don't do it, and obviously I'm not accepting any responsibility if you ruin your bike. Dare I say it, personally, I can't see how, as long as you keep tension on that chain, I can't see how it is going to jump a tooth. Yeah, but you do it at your own risk. It's entirely up to you. If you feel confident enough to do it. I'm sort of mechanically trained on cars, but I've got no motorbike experience. I suppose I understand the concept of a cam system and an overhead cam system, but yeah, it's up to you guys. I mean, I don't want to get any flack for people that have destroyed the top end of their engine. It's entirely up to you. Give it a go if you want. I mean, I got quoted 285 quid. I did it for 107 all in, including gaskets. So I've not had any issues. Yeah, follow the instructions. Keep the tension on that chain. That's the main thing. Keep some tension on that. Wind this all the way out before you put it in, and then just tension it up. There's plenty of videos on YouTube if you want some advice on how to adjust it, and just sort of give it a go if you want. If you don't feel confident, give it to a mechanic. That's all I can say. I hope it's been of some help, but if not, no worries. Cheers.